Hello guys, today in this tutorial I will be showing you a new framework of JavaScript, which is basically it's a front-end framework which can be a great alternative to React.js, Vue.js or Angular. The name of the framework is called as Svelte. It is basically pronounced at Svelte here. So it is used to create enhanced web applications, and basically its structure is very much easy as compared to React also. So basically, it's a very popular framework. It is ever growing, and it is not that much popular that React has, but still it is growing a lot. Many developers are using Svelte for creating small applications. So we will try to look how to create a basic CRUD application where we can perform 4 operations such as create, read, update, delete. So basically, this is the official website of Svelte, and it has got a lot of documentation. Basically, you can have this, all the commands are there, how to create a new project. So if you want to read the documentation, this is this official website. So for this tutorial I have written a complete blog post on my tutorial website, which is webninjadeveloper.com. So this is the blog post. So here you will find step-by-step instruction, and I have given all the source code in the description of this live stream. So basically what I will do is that I will go into the live chat, and if you want to get all the source code, basically I will paste the blog post link in the live chat so that you can go it. So first of all, hit the like button, subscribe the channel. So this is the Svelte framework, guys. We are talking about Svelte is a great framework which is an alternative to React.js, Vue.js. Basically it was built in by this person, which is, it is open source. It can both be programmed in JavaScript or TypeScript. It is both supported languages, and it was developed in 2016. So basically it's a very new framework. It is just 6 years old, and still it is ever growing. And basically it was built by this person, which is Rich Harris. So let's suppose, let me tell you the app we will be building, guys. So refresh it. So you will see that this is a simple CRUD application. So basically, if you see here, we have these CRUD application here. So we have HTML form here. Basically this will be a user CRUD application. Here you will be able to create new users. You can even update, delete, all the 4 operations we are performing here. So if you load the application for the very first time, 2 users will be present right here. You will see John Williamson is 26 years old and lives in New Zealand. So Ken Williamson is 31 years old and lives in New Zealand. So if I try to enter an entry here, let's suppose I write a entry here, click on add user. You will now see this will add a entry here inside the bottom here. So it will add a new entry. So let's suppose I write another entry. So click on add user. You will now see this entry will also get added. You will see. So we have 2 buttons out there. If you click the delete button, so this record will be deleted. Click the delete button like this, delete, delete, delete. So in this case, guys, we can do that. So let's suppose you want to update an existing entry right here. So we need to click this edit button. So as you click this edit button, all the entries, all the basic values will be embedded inside this input field here. Now you can change, update the values. Click on edit user. So now you can see the values will be updated. So these are the 4 operations we will try to replicate inside Svelte app, guys. So with this video you will be getting to know about Svelte, how to build some basic applications inside it. So it will be a very fun little tutorial. So please hit that like button, subscribe the channel as well if you're watching it for the very first time. So let me start building this project. So for building this, guys, we will be using a tool which is called as Digit. Digit, basically it's a scaffolding tool, basically in order to scrape any sort of template of any sort of framework. This is straightforward project scaffolding library, Digit. So basically it's a old way of doing things, but we need to first of all start from scratch. So we will be globally installing it, this Digit framework. Basically, presently when I am just doing this tutorial, this approach is not recommended by Svelte. They have their own kit called as Svelte kit. They will tell you that make the project from that. There is also a Svelte kit out there. So they will tell you to use this instead of Digit. Digit is outdated, it is not depreciated, but still we need to learn from scratch. So first of all, in this tutorial I will be telling you how to do from Digit. So this is a command to globally install Digit. The spelling is DEGIT, Digit. Simply install this globally. So if you now write Digit here, the Digit command, so it will tell you which repository to clone. So like this. So after doing this, guys, you need to open your project directory. So simply I will go to my React projects here directory here, and basically I will make a new app here, Svelte CRUD app. I will cd into this folder, and then I will open this inside Visual Studio Code text editor. So right here, guys, we need to basically create a basic Svelte app. So right here we will stop this server which is running on, and let me close this file here, basically close this file and start from scratch. So basically, first of all, guys, now to initialize this Svelte app, we will write here digit and then Svelte, SVELTE Svelte JS slash, and then we need to provide the template after Svelte JS slash template. And then we basically here you need to give the name of the app. You can give any name of your choice, but I will be giving CRUD app. So as you write this name, guys, on the left hand side you will see it will create this, it will clone this repository. Now this repository is there, so I need to go into this folder here, CRUD app. So let me just summarize you the basic directory structure of a Svelte app, guys. You will see this is a public folder, guys. Inside this we have the global CSS, we have the index.html. So this is the actual file which gets rendered whenever you run the Svelte app. So basically inside this source directory we have the actual app.svelte file. So here we will do all the coding. So whenever I want to build this application, I will do all the stuff in this single file, which is app.svelte. It's the basic root component where we will write all the code here. In this Svelte project you can have multiple components as well, but for this basic project we will only be modifying this file only. And then we have main.js, guys. So basically this component is rendering out inside this main.js. So we are initializing this new reference of this app component that we are importing it from this file here. At the very top you can see we are importing this file here, import app, which is the name of the component, and we are importing it from the parent directory. And then basically we are instantiating a new reference of app here, and basically it contains two properties, which is target. So we are embedding this component in the body. So inside our index.html we are embedding this component inside the body. You can even give it an ID. Let's suppose you have give a ID, but this is recommended stuff. You just need to embed this component inside body. So that's why we have written right here, which is document.body. And then we are passing a property which is name property. If you closely look here, we are passing this in the template. So this is the easiest part inside Svelte, guys. You can pass properties as well. You can see at the very top we are in the script section, we are exporting this property which is name. So if you now run this application, basically you just need to type here npm run dev. So it will start your development server. So basically, first of all, we need to install all the modules which are present inside package.json file, guys. All these dev dependencies and dependencies. So for this, you just need to write npm i. So this will install all the dependencies. So basically, it will just take 5 to 10 seconds for installing all these dependencies. So this will create a node modules folder at the very top here. You can see that has created this. Now we can start our development server, npm run dev. So this will start this development server, guys. You can now see it will create a build folder here as you start this server. Basically this build, it will build all your project, guys. It will store this JavaScript, compile it, and basically it will minify the JavaScript inside bundle.js like this. So all the JavaScript CSS is bundled here like this, and this is including inside your index.html. You can now see we are including this bundle.js, bundle.css, all that stuff. So whenever you run your application, automatically your project is built. So now it has started this application on localhost 8080. So if I now open this project here 8080, this is your basic application guys, which is hello world Svelte app. As you see, we are passing this property, which is name property, which is equal to, if you closely look here inside your main.js, it is equal to world. If I change here to hello John, so it will change this property to hello John. So it is quite easy. You can even pass multiple properties. Let's suppose I also want to pass the age, so I will pass 15 here. So for this we also need to provide age, export this variable. So we can simply say here component has unused export property age. So we can even embed this like this. So if I embed this, you can now see John 15. So we can simply say here and he is years old. So with the help of Svelte template engine guys, it makes it very much easy and fun in developing web applications, and it is very much easy. By personal experience I can tell you that it is very much easy than React.js, Vue.js and Angular, and it is ever growing framework, and in the future many developers will be using this framework. You can now see you can pass as many properties as you want here. It can be any data type. You can even pass a object as well. So let's suppose we are passing an object which contains a name here of let's suppose William, age property as well 45. So this is an object we are passing here. So simply we need to export this object, so we can simply say user. So then we can simply say the user, and then we can simply put the property username is user age years old. So if you now refresh your application guys, you can see the user Williams is 45 years old. You can even export an object as well, pass it as a property. So if you're coming from React.js, you will definitely know what is props. Props are nothing but they are the actual properties or data that you can pass to actual component. So this makes it very much easy guys. So in this tutorial we are not passing properties, we will be building a very simple application. So we will delete all that stuff and go to app.svelte. We will delete all this boilerplate code. So let me delete all this and start from scratch. You will also don't need CSS. So this is a basic structure of a Svelte component guys. We have three sections. First for the JavaScript, which is embedded in the script tag. Then we have the actual HTML, and then we have the actual CSS. So this will be the CSS code here. Basically here you will write the CSS code for your component. So here you will write the JavaScript, and this will be the HTML. So basically guys, first of all we need to have a simple array. We will not be storing the data inside a database. We will have a simple array here. So we will declare this array as user, and this will be an array here, and this will be an array of objects. So each object will have an ID property which will be 0, and it will also have a name property which is, let's suppose I give John Williamson, and then we have the age property, let's suppose 25, and country let me give New Zealand. So if you're watching it for the very first time, please hit that like button, subscribe the channel. Then we have second entry, ID is 1, name let's suppose we have Kane Williamson, and then once again age let me say 31, and then country let's suppose again needs to be New Zealand. So now we have two objects right here inside this array guys, which is users array. So the very first step is to render all this array of objects inside the browser. So if you refresh the browser, nothing is displaying here. So first of all, now to display this users array, we will be using a syntax which will be a loop. We will be using some kind of a loop inside Svelte. So for looping through this array of objects guys, basically we need to use this syntax which is inside curly brackets. We will use the each loop here, each block like this, and here you need to give basically the array name, so which in this case is users because we have declared users here, And here you need to give the local variable we will be looping through as a user. And here you need to close this each block here like this. And here basically we will be having a div section here. And now we have this reference of a particular user, so it will loop through all the users, and for a particular user we have four properties: id, name, age, country. So we are taking the id parameter as the primary key, which will be unique for by default, and it will auto increment. So every database have a id property attached to it so that it is useful for the CRUD operations. Whenever we are updating a record or deleting it, we will be using this id. So right here you can embed this, guys, so it's very easy. We can simply say user dot name is user dot age. So in this way you can use this curly brackets, and inside this you can simply put dynamic variables inside this template by using this curly brackets. So this makes it very much easy in Svelte application to render dynamic variables years old. So now basically if you refresh it, you will now see the two entries which are there. John Williamson is 25 years old, Kane Williamson is 31 years old, and he is from, and then we can even put the country as well like this. So here this is a read operation, guys. So basically we are looping through all the records which are present inside the database. This can be coming from a database as well. Here we are just locally storing this inside the users array, but in the real life scenario it can be coming from an API or database. So here we can simply use this each block, guys. So this is curly brackets, and inside this we have this hash symbol each. This is a parameter each. So we have this for each loop inside JavaScript, but in Svelte we use this block of code to loop through an array. So after this, guys, at the very top we need to have a simple heading, which we will simply say that create user, and then we will have a simple three fields out there, guys. So we will have a simple form. So inside the form basically, guys, we will have a label. First of all, the label will be for the name. So input type will be text, and placeholder will be simply enter name, and it should be required. And basically, guys, we also need to bind this as a two-way data bind. So we will use this parameter which is called as bind underscore value, bind colon value. So basically here you need to give it an id, sorry, give it a value in which two-way data binding will happen. So let's suppose, guys, I declare a variable here which is called as first name. So the value is simply John. So now what will happen now? Let's suppose we are rendering this value which is first name. So as I put this bind colon value, and let me put this first name here. So we have essentially we are doing a two-way data binding. So what will happen now? Basically we have an input field out there. So if I now change the value here, this value will also change like this. So this is called as two-way data binding inside React.js as well. So whatever I type inside the input field, this is also getting updated in real time. So this is the two-way data binding, guys. You can now see. So here we are attaching this parameter right here. So instead of this variable, we will be declaring an empty object. When we start the application, this object will be called as data, and it will again have these four properties. ID will be null, and name will be empty, and age will also be empty, and then country will also be empty. So basically this will be an empty object, and here we will be initializing this to data dot name like this. So similarly, guys, we will be having two more input fields. So basically this will be for the age, and this time this type parameter will be number because age is a number. So this will be data.age. And lastly, we have the country. So this will be data.country. So the placeholder will change here. We will simply say here enter age and enter country. So now if you refresh your application, guys, what will happen now? So if you see here, it is saying first name is not defined. Sorry, let me delete this. So now you can see that, guys, if you refresh the application, we have this form here basically. Enter name, enter age, enter country. So lastly, guys, we also need to have a button to submit the form here. So we will have a simple button. We will simply have add user. So whenever you click this button, guys, so basically now to initialize the on click event handler, so generally we do like this inside JavaScript, but in Svelte you need to do like this. Basically it is not regular JavaScript, so whenever you build your application it is compiled to the regular JavaScript. So here we need to write like this, which is on colon click. So this is the event handler. So basically whenever you press this, we will be creating a function which is called as create user. So this function we need to create, guys. So you can now see it is not defined. So we need to define this function right here at the very top here. So we will create this function which will be an arrow function. So const create user, and this will be an arrow function. So here the e parameter will be passed here, guys, which is an event parameter. So here we can call e.prevent default to prevent the auto submission of the form. So after this, guys, inside create user, now to create a new user inside the array here, what we will do is that basically here you need to create a new user. So we will declare an object here, new user, and this will be equal to the ID. So first of all, we need to provide a unique ID. For this, we will be using date.now function, and we will concatenate it with mat.random. So this will return a random number between 0 and 1. So this will make sure that ID will always be unique. And then we have the name parameter, which will be coming from data.name, age, which will be coming from data.age, because you can see we have binded these variables in a two-way data binding. You can see data.name, data.age, data.country. Lastly, we have the country variable, which will be coming from data.country. So now we have created this user. So now we need to simply append this. So there are two ways out there, guys, you can do. We can simply use this method, which is concatenation method, users dot concat. So basically it will add a new entry in the array, this concat error, and it will return the newly created array. So here you need to pass this object here which we have created, which is new user. So after this you need to reset the form as well. So reset the form. If I don't reset the form, let me just refresh it. What will happen now? If I enter the name here, let's suppose Tim, and country. So if I click add user, now you can see Tim is 34 years old and he's from New Zealand. So you can now see the values remains. It is not cleared out the input fields. So for clearing out the input fields, guys, we need to reset the form. So for that, we just need to initialize the data object again to ID to null. Here we don't need to provide ID. So name will be again null, age will also be null, and country will also be null, and ID which will be null. That's it. So if you do like this, the form will also get reset. If you now provide click on add user, now you can see your entry is added and the form is also resetted. So thereby you can now enter any values of your choice like this. So now our add user is also working, guys. So right here we need to perform the delete operation. So whenever we are looping through these records, guys, so right here inside our for each, we need to have a button here. So this button will be responsible. So button. So here we will have a delete user button as well. So if you now see, we have the delete user button. So just to make side by side, we can put a style property here, which will be display, which will be equal to inline, and then we can put a break tag here like this. So if you now see here, we will have the side by side button here. So basically whenever we click this button here of delete user, we need to delete this entry from the page and also from the array as well. So we need to bind an entry, guys. So on click, so here we will put this inline function here. So here we will be creating this function delete user, and we will passing this basically this ID of the user. So we will simply pass the ID by user dot ID. That's it. Now we need to create this function, guys. So we need to create this function which is called as delete user, and here we will be getting the ID of the user from which we need to delete the record. So for deleting the record from an array, guys, we will be using the filter method, which is a very popular method. So we will say users dot filter. This is a method. So it is used to filter out or remove elements from the array. So here we will have the actual ID, sorry, actual user, and then basically we will check the user.id is not equal to the past ID. That's it. That's all that you need to do, guys. This is a simple operation, one line of code. So we are just comparing the ID of the past user, and we are comparing it for with each and every user. So if the ID matches, we are not storing that element inside the array. And lastly, we are returning this array inside users. So if you now see, click delete user, and now you can see this button is also working. Click on delete like this. So now it is perfectly working, guys. So now we need to show a second button here, which will be update button right here in line with delete. So we need to add a new button here, guys, which is used for updating purposes. So this will be for update user, or we can simply say edit user, and simply here we will be again be attaching an on click. So edit user, and here we will pass the whole object which is user. That's it. So now we simply need to define this function here at the very top, which is edit user. Again, this will be an arrow function. So here this time we will be getting the whole object which is user, and at the very top, guys, we also need to declare a boolean variable which is called as edit user, which will initial value will be false. So now we need to make this value. So what is saying that cannot redeclare block scoped variable. Sorry, let me say if I, sorry, this is the name of the method. So let me rename this to edit. So the initial value will be false, guys. So with the help of this boolean parameter, we will be checking that whether the user has pressed the update button or create button. So right here inside this, first of all, we will make the value of this edit. We will change from false to true. So after this, we need to initialize the data object, which is currently empty, to the user. That's it. So we are initializing this user object to the data object, which is currently empty. So this data object will contain all the information about the updated user. So after this, guys, basically we will wrap this using, and we will use some conditional here. We will be using this condition here, right here inside your HTML. So we will have a if statement, guys. So we will declare this if condition here like this. Inside curly brackets we will write hash symbol if, and then the name of the variable, which is edit. So here we will use triple equal to sign. If the value is equal to false, then we perfectly know that the user is not updating it, so we will be showing the add user button. And in the else block, we will be showing a different button to the user, which will be update user. We also need to close this if one. So we need, in order to close it, we will write like this. So this is our if else, guys, conditional statements inside Svelte. It is very much easy. We have again this curly brackets inside hash symbol. We have if, the name of the variable, and we are checking its value. If it is equal to false, then we are showing the add user button. If it is equal to true, whenever we click execute this edit user, it makes it true, then it will show the update button like this. So now what will happen, guys? So if you click the edit button, it will change to update user like this, and all the entries will be there automatically. If you now see, If you click edit user, all these entries will be pre-filled. John Williamson 25 New Zealand. If you click this one, Kane Williamson 31 New Zealand. So all the details will be pre-filled inside the input field. So this is possible due to this line of code here we have written right here, which is data is equal to user. If I comment this line, now if you hit this button edit user, the entries will not be pre-filled. So this line is very much important. So now we need to make this method, guys. We also need to put this on click. So when we click this, we need to update the user. We need to create this method. So we will create this method for updating the user. Updating user. So inside updating user, guys, this is very simple. First of all, we will toggle this edit variable. We will not sign edit. So basically, if the initial value is true, then we will make it false. If it is false, then we will make it true. Just the opposite of it. And then we will be making a user, guys, user db, and this will be an object. So name will be equal to data.name, age will be data.age. We will get all the properties of the updated user, country, data.country, and id, which is equal to data.id. So after you get your user, guys, you need to find the index number for which the updation process is happening. So for doing this process here, we need to simply find out the index here. So for finding out the index here, we need to simply make a new variable here, which is called as users dot find index. So here you need to loop through all the records here. So basically we have this object. So for each object here, we need to compare the ID here. So object.id double equal to user object.id. So then we will get the index number, guys, for which the updation operation is there. So we will simply say that users object index is equal to user database. And then we will simply again put the ID to null. We will reset the value, name to like this, age to this, and country to this. So that's all, guys. This is for the code for the updation operation. If I now refresh the application, and let's suppose click the edit, if I change the value here, change the age, change the country, click update user, now you can see the entries are updated perfectly. The name, age is also there. Click update user. You can also delete it like this. So in this way, guys, you can basically make a simple CRUD application inside Svelte. It's a very ever-growing framework. You should definitely invest some time. And I'm seeing that, guys, you are not liking the content. Only 3 likes are there. So simply hit the like button, subscribe the channel as well if you're watching it for the very first time. And all the source code I have given in the live chat and also in the description of this live stream as well. So simply hit the like button, subscribe the channel, and I will be seeing you in the next live stream.